Thank you for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. Thank you for having tuned in. You're listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And I have a very special guest here on the show with me today. And she is actually the CEO and founder of Hipcamp. And before I get into any further information, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Alyssa?
Sure, and thank you so much for having me on the show, Julia. I'm excited to be here. So my name's Alyssa. I'm the founder and CEO of Hipcamp. Hipcamp is a platform to get outside. We partner with private landowners and empower them to open up their properties for outdoor recreation and earn a little extra cash. So I started the company because I love to camp and there were enough good places to get outside. So very much scratching my own itch, if you will.
Oh, okay. So what kinds of people are using Hipcamp then, other than campers? You're saying like people provide their land. Is it mostly like campgrounds or is it private people as well?
Yeah, great question. It's a blend of both. So, Hipcamp at its core really is a marketplace. We're bringing together people who want to get outside with people who have, somewhere people can get outside. So that might look like a campground, but more often than not right now it looks like a rancher or a farmer or somebody who has, a property they inherited from their grandfather and isn't sure what to do with. It's really an exciting way to earn a little extra income from land that you might own, either as a way to, diversify the income stream you already have on the land, or maybe just to create an income stream where one didn't exist and offset those property taxes.
I really like that. So I don't know if you knew a little bit about the show. We talk about anything and everything related to real estate investing on my show. And one of the things that I'm a big proponent of is to purchase tax sale foreclosures. And a lot of times, some of the properties that are being sold are actually vacant pieces of land, some of them quite large. Can you tell me a little bit more about what the specifications are for somebody to use your portal, basically, is what it is, an online portal, correct?
Yeah.
To list their land, or how does that work? How would somebody go about becoming a host or even a user, a guest?
Yeah, so if you have some land and you're interested in getting more people outside and earning some income, you can go to hipcamp.com, and we actually have a really easy self-serve website where you can create a listing, add some photos of your land, tell us a little bit about it. We also have an excellent team of really smart, kind people who will pick up the phone if you want to talk to them and ask for their advice on, how to talk about your property or what to charge or how to position it. So we've got a great team that can really be, in partnership with you as you take on this new entrepreneurial endeavor. And in terms of what properties work well, I would say, one of our biggest learnings has been if you're within an hour or two of a big city, there's just so many people moving to cities right now, and our bodies really aren't meant to handle all the stress and stimulation of modern urban life, and people are really looking and seeking for that peace and quiet time in nature. So if you're within that hour or two of a big city, you're probably going to be in a really valuable area for people. And then same thing with national parks. Interest in our national parks has been skyrocketing. And so parcels of land that are, close to the entrance of national parks, maybe even up to an hour away, are places we see do incredibly well on the platform.
Interesting. So when I first checked out your website, actually, I was actually sent to it by one of my subscribers. And because I do sell audiobooks on how to purchase land as well as regular tax sale foreclosures, he was asking me specifically how he could get land so he can put his property on Hipcamp. And I'm like, Hipcamp I've never heard of, so that's why I contacted you guys initially. But my first question, or my first thought anyways, was if you're, so I guess it's more like, what about facilities? I know, and laws basically too on that. Maybe you can tell me more about, because you can't just put anybody in your backyard and then, have them, they have to have some sort of facilities to use. Would you have to have like a nearby shed or something where they can bathe, or is there a certain size limit for acreage where that's not necessary anymore or something like that? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I'm sure you have to follow laws about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So, the regulations around land use, I'm sure you know, are highly local and highly complex. So each and every county and zone within that county and parcel within that zone is likely to have its own specific regulations. So I can speak more from a high level perspective. I think one thing that's really exciting for landowners about the Hipcamp platform is that we actually serve an audience that spans everything from people looking for really just a place to put their RV for the night, right? Maybe they're on a road trip, they want to spend the night somewhere quiet instead of being in a crowded RV park. So in that case, you actually don't need facilities, right? You don't actually need to do much, if anything at all, to your land to start being a great place for somebody, who has an RV with a toilet on board, has their own water, has their own electricity. Mm-hmm. You can just kind of open for business to that specific type of hip camper. We also do serve tent campers. Mm-hmm. And so in that case, you do need to provide, a picnic table or a fire ring, some kind of sanitation facility. And then we also serve all the way up to what we consider kind of more lodging or glamping. So in that case, people, maybe you have a little cabin or a yurt. Those tend to cost a little bit more, and sometimes also come with, shower access. So I think what's really exciting about the Hipcamp platform is we do a great job making sure we really understand the experience you're looking to offer. And we found that, for every experience out there, there's somebody who wants to have that type of experience. So a lot of our hosts we see over time might start by just opening up their property to RV campers, for example, because they don't want to invest in the facilities. And then over time, as they're earning income from the platform, maybe now is the right time to build that, cabin that you've always dreamed of down by the lake. And so it's actually a nice way to start with a low investment and then reinvest that income back into the property to start creating a bigger and bigger income stream.
I think that's a great idea. The one thing that struck me when I looked at your website is its similarity to the Airbnb platform. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that kind of like the main idea that you had when you founded the company?
Yeah, when I started the company, Airbnb is an awesome platform, and I knew it was out there. It definitely wasn't kind of the core part of the idea. Again, I just wanted more places to get outside and to go camping. And so I think, the sharing economy and connecting people with each other is a big, trend in our economy we're seeing across the board, whether that's Airbnb or Lyft or companies like Rover, where you can dog sit for other people's dogs. And so I think what we're doing is really bringing the sharing economy to, really the largest underutilized asset class on the planet, which is land.
Land, yes. Yes, I agree. So tell me a little bit more about the size of your company, or even if you can, and when did you get started, and has your growth been probably exponential by now? I don't know, but a little bit like the background of the company, when it was founded, and everything related to that.
Sure, yeah. So I started building Hipcamp in 2013. I actually learned how to program. I had this idea I couldn't get out of my head. So I learned how to program so that I could build it and kind of build a very basic version of the website back in 2013. Originally, Hipcamp was actually a platform for discovering public campgrounds, something more like a Yelp. Mm-hmm. And it was only after a couple of years of working on that I really understood that underneath kind of the frustration I felt of finding a campsite, there was actually a bigger problem, which was that there were a lot more people who wanted to go camping than there were great places to get outside. And so that's when we started working with private landowners in 2015 and really 2016. And since then, the growth has been phenomenal. It's really exciting to see both on the landowner side how many people are interested in getting people outside and earning income in a way that's really aligned with their values. I think that's something that's really important to understand. So many other ways to earn income off your land requires you to do things to your land you might not want to do, like remove natural resources or do some kind of development. And I think what's really exciting about hip camping is you can earn that income without having to, do something that doesn't feel aligned with what your vision is for the land that you're stewarding. And then, of course, on the hip camper side, on the camper side, seeing how many people are just thrilled for the opportunity to have more places to go and also the chance to really have a new type of outdoor experience. We see so many hosts who have, a permaculture farm or alpacas or some really cool restoration project where they're replanting, native grasses and have a seed bank and want to tell their campers all about that. People are so hungry to learn about new ways to, live and work with the land. And so that's really what is fueling the growth we're seeing. And so fast forward to today, we're now 45 people or so and hiring for quite a few roles and really focused on expanding our footprint into new markets.
That's great. That's great. So where was your company founded? I saw your area code is Atlanta area. So you're actually here in Georgia?
No, we're here in San Francisco, actually.
Oh.
So I'm from the Bay Area.
Okay.
We're just calling from a phone that originates from Atlanta.
Oh, okay. So you're basically out there in California, but can you tell a little bit more about where I guess you call them the landowners? Do you mean that's the hosts basically, or is there another meaning? So we have hosts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have hosts really all across the country. So again, anywhere that's, close to a national park or an outdoor destination or within an hour or two of a city is somewhere that we're seeing hosts do really well on the platform. Okay. So just to get back a little bit on because the reason I'm asking is because of the specific inquiry I had from this one subscriber. So if you're basically offering a piece of land for an RV, basically, there's not really a whole lot you need to do, but is there a specific size requirement for that piece of land for it to be even accepted on your platform or meet most of the government regulations to qualify as a place where somebody can put an RV? Or do you have people in your office that kind of help a user, like a landowner, I guess, navigate the probably complicated government regulations on the topic?
Yeah, so we have, if you go to hipcamp.com/host standards, we have a guide to our standards for listing on Hipcamp. And these are really, we believe, the best practices for hosting in a way that has a positive impact on your community and on the environment. So as an example to your, acreage question, we don't allow, backyards. So if you've got less than 2 acres and you're in a residential area, that's really not going to be a good fit for the platform. We're looking for places where people can get outside, where people can connect with nature, and also places where you're not going to be, impacting your neighbors in a way that they don't want to be impacted. So the host standards is really the best place to go to understand Hipcamp standards for listing on the platform. And then again, regulations around land use are, highly, highly local. And so for, really understanding that deeply, the best thing to do is to get in touch with your local county and really understand, what's allowed and what's not, given, again, it can be everything from your zone to your parcel size might really impact specific regulations around what you can and cannot do.
I really like the idea. Definitely something new. My other question was, is there somebody else that's doing this right now, or are you pretty much the spearhead of this movement to move outside and to share spaces? And
Yeah, I think in terms of platforms that are really opening up access to private land for getting outside, we're really at the forefront of that movement, and really grateful to be able to, help facilitate what I think is, from a broader cultural level, just so important, right? I think everyone can probably connect with the idea of, wow, I'm suddenly spending a lot of time on my phone and in my email, and I don't, feel like as well rested as I want to, and, feel kind of stressed out. And I think nature provides really in so many ways the antidote to a lot of the downsides of our modern hyper-connected, hyper always on society. And so I think there's a much larger movement that we are, part of as well around kind of getting outside.
Wow, great. That's a great way to look at things. I definitely love that outlook from business to actually do something good for humanity versus just making profit, I guess. So, okay. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's something that is really deeply important to me. I was lucky to grow up getting outside, and so I knew how much it really had a positive impact on my life, both from making me feel, confident and capable. If I could climb a mountain, what couldn't I do? But also just as a place to develop deep relationships with my friends and my family. It was always kind of the place where I had the best conversations with my little sisters. So I knew how important it was, but I really came, through university, and right after I was studying the internet. So I'm a big fan of the internet and everything it can do for our culture. And I think my question has always been, how can we harness this incredibly powerful tool to have a positive impact on people, and on not just people, but plants and animals. And so Hipcamp is my answer to that.
That's great. That's great. And it's a great solution. I definitely love it. Well, do you have anything else to add, or do you want to tell the listeners how to find your website, or where they should go to ask any additional questions if they may have them?
Yeah, so the only thing I would add that I think is super important, but not always apparent to everybody, is that by opening up your land for outdoor recreation, not only are you getting more people outside, which is really healthcare if we think about it, and not only are you earning more income and diversifying your income, you're also protecting that habitat for plants and animals. And as we look at a world with, a lot of problems across our ecosystems and our environment, it's just so important to really think about how can we protect these lands, how can we protect these waters, and hip camping is a really cool solution to support, more habitats for wildlife. So that's just, I think, something that a lot of our hosts are really proud to be a part of, and a really cool opportunity for other landowners to also support as well. And if you're interested in learning how to become a host, you can go to hipcamp.com and sign up there. Again, we have a great team of people who are, happy to talk to you and talk through any questions you have. You can reach them through the website as well. And then, of course, if you're looking to get outside and go hip camping yourself, you can head over to hipcamp.com. And we also have mobile apps on both the iPhone and Android stores. So lots of ways to get outside no matter what device you're on.
Awesome. That was a great interview. Thank you for all this information, and thank you for coming on the show today. And this was Alyssa Ravazio. I think I said that right.
You got it.
All right. Founder and CEO of Hipcamp. So I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and hope you get to check.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.